And here we go. All right, good evening, guys. Good evening, YouTube. Welcome to episode number 19 of the FPL Family. Episode number 19. This is our Game Week 9 review video. And that was a tough week. That was a tough game week, wasn't it?
It's a bit of a bonkers one, wasn't it?
There's some very, very low scores, guys, knocking about on Twitter and on the live chat. Anything over about 45, I think, is pretty good this week. It's pretty good. I don't know what you guys aim for in terms of average per game week, but there's a lot of people out there on Twitter that will say, I want to get to 50 each game week, 60 each game week. That'll keep me about where I want to be, near the sort of top 50k or whatever, top 100k. Well, listen, if you're in that sort of 50, 60 bracket this week, you're doing very, very well indeed, because that was a tough game week.
It's not finished yet.
Well, it's not, and I think a lot of people are expecting goals in Arsenal and Leicester, so we might get some FPL points there, but goodness me, I found that it was a tough watch, wasn't it, a lot of it?
Well, the way that it's going, the FPL points have all gone to non-FPL entities, haven't they, really? You know,
Martial and people like that, right?
Tosin,
coming from nowhere.
You know, what's going on today? Crazy game today.
Crazy / completely mind-numbingly boring. Oh my God.
David Silva.
Marco Silva.
Yeah. Did a good job with his subs though, didn't he?
He did a great job with the subs, and that actually livened the game up. And to be fair, until the penalty miss, it was a total non-event, that game. So I was looking at my team thinking, Wan-Bissaka, third sub, and here we go. We're going to get 7, 8, 9 points again from Wan-Bissaka. And then Pickford did the save, and the game got a little bit better. But you're right, Marco Silva, fair play. He introduced Calvert-Lewin as well as Tosin. And Lookman. And Lookman, fair play, did very well. So we'll come to review that game a bit later on. Some very, very good games throughout the weekend, including a bit of a fracas at Stamford Bridge. I mean, what was all that about? Who's the guy? Who is that guy?
I don't know, but
I still don't know who that guy was. I think he must be like, the physio or somebody in the medical staff. Giving it all this in front of Jose. I mean, goodness me, that's shocking. Absolutely shocking behaviour.
It was quite funny though, wasn't it?
It was quite funny. It was quite funny, but at the time I'm thinking, oh my God, that's absolutely awful. And Mourinho's face, you see how he went for him, went running down a tunnel, didn't he? That was the best thing about what that guy did. He gave it all of that in front of Mourinho's face and then legged it down the tunnel as quick as he could.
He was involved. I actually don't know that he necessarily intended to be right in front of Mourinho. It was almost like, oh my God, I'm in front of Mourinho. No. I better run away now because he's gonna go mad.
No,
ran off down the tunnel.
100%. He knew exactly where he was. He actually went past Mourinho, giving it one fist like that. Mourinho saw it and sort of went, all right, whatever. And then he came back to his seat, giving it two fists. And Mourinho was just like, I'm having you. And the guy was just flew down the tunnel, past the two massive security guys that were down the tunnel, by the way. That's why he's gone down the tunnel. It was shocking. It's absolutely shocking. But we're going to come to that game a bit later on as well. Chelsea snatching a point off of Manchester United at Stamford Bridge. Some other good games. 1-0 for Spurs, 1-0 for Liverpool. So we're pretty happy, aren't we? Despite two, actually pretty bad performance from Liverpool. We'll come to the performance a bit later on. But a good result. We've got to win ugly if you're going to win championships and titles, right? I'm getting ahead of myself. And from Spurs' perspective...
It's only October.
Oh, I know, I'm being facetious. But from Spurs' perspective, another good result. Another good one. One that I didn't expect, actually.
I told you to pipe down in the last stream, and you do need to kind of rein it in a bit, because this is our best start to a Premier League season, and everyone's banging on about how bad we've been. Well,
what's that?
Quiet it down.
Is that your pipe down?
Yeah.
Very good. If it wasn't for your goalkeeper, you could have lost that game 4-1.
Well, that is why you pay big money for a good goalkeeper, isn't it?
Well, we know all about that. All right, guys, let's crack on. Let's say hello to a few people and see how you guys are getting on. We want to say hi to you guys. We'd also like to know what your score is for this game week. I know a lot of you guys have been posting it already. Let's find out how you're getting on. Good, bad, or ugly, right? And I've got a feeling.
How many you've got left?
And if you've got players left to go in Arsenal versus Leicester, then let's hear it as well. And I'm kind of interested to hear who's in the frame for the wooden spoon, because I think there's going to be quite a few in the frame for the wooden spoon this week. Could be a tricky one.
I think Aid's in down there as well, and I think Leo was down there as well.
Oh, the mods are doing badly, are they? Oh, don't call out the mods. We rely on them every week to help us out.
I think it might be the mods.
So speaking of mods, Leo is in. How are you doing, Leo? He's saying 31 all out.
He's gone better though, because I think he had 13 yesterday, didn't he, or something
13?
Ridiculous?
Oh, goodness me. Carrie 256 is in, and I think I saw Carrie saying before that the score's pretty good. Pretty good score, I think, this game week.
Good.
So let us know your score. I think that's 52 or something. So
very good.
Pretty good. Shashank is saying 35 with Maddison to play. I don't think that's...
I think
that's about par for the course, isn't it? I think. Ketan Banjari is here, 62 all out.
Well,
now
that is really good.
Is a sensational score, Ketan. I'd love to see what players you've got to get up there. I'd imagine there's a Matty Ryan in goal. I'd imagine there's a Mendy at the back. Possibly even a Mendy captain. There's a couple of those online tonight. A couple of Mendy captains. How brave is that? I love that. Ibrahim is here. How are you doing? 54 with Maddison to go.
Decent.
Like it. Mr. Joe Finley Badder, how are you doing, buddy? 43 all out, he says. So I think that's going to be a little bit below par for the game week, isn't it? Potentially. The Casman 123, thank you for joining. 51 with Maddison to play. Okay, that's a pretty good score, actually.
I think most people have got Maddison to play. Most.
And I actually was taking a quick look at the fixture ticker as we were coming on, and Leicester looks absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I know we've been saying it for a few weeks after Arsenal, the fixtures look good, but I didn't realise quite how good they look.
They're really
absolutely
good.
Incredible. And a lot of you guys considering on Vardy or indeed are on Vardy already. It wouldn't surprise me if most of you are. Rushil Joshi is in 21 here with Vardy and Maddison to play. So
well, that could be all right.
He is hoping for a big Leicester win tomorrow night, and I hope they do for you, mate. 33 with Lacazette captain, INTJ is saying.
That could end up being a good score then, with Lacazette captain.
It could be, yeah, it could be. 33 with no captain to play could be good, or if he blanks, then it's another. It's looking bad, isn't it? It's looking bad. Joshy, 51, all out. Okay, I think that's going to be okay actually for this game. That's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Gooner Weave is saying Arsenal to win 2-0 tomorrow night. Okay, I'll go with that. I think Arsenal tomorrow night, they look good at that moment. Look good. MU Fan TV, how are you doing? Good evening. All hope on Lacazette. All hope on Lacazette. How are you feeling about that Manchester United result, MU Fan TV? It was due to be an absolute phenomenal result. I mean, if United win that game, it's potential season-turning game, right? I mean, it would have been a phenomenal result to go to Stamford Bridge and get 3 points. Don't get me wrong, going there and getting a point is very, very good, as we found out, Liverpool found out a few weeks ago. But to go there and get all 3 points would have been very, very, very good for Jose. So it's a real shame to see that last-minute goal go in.
So when they were talking to the Chelsea players and the Man U players after the game, the Chelsea players, it was like they were speaking to players that had won a game, wasn't it? And it was the reverse when they were talking to Arsenal. It's with the Man United players. It's always going to
feel like a defeat, that is. Yeah. It's always going to feel like a defeat.
It's a frustrating one for Man United, because walking away from that game, there'll be a lot of people that are very down. And unnecessarily, I think, actually.
I think they've got to take the positives. A point for out of Stamford Bridge when Chelsea are pretty much
the way they lost it.
Ripping teams apart right now. Martial now 3 starts in a row, so a couple of goals for him as well. So, Lukaku actually not getting amongst the FPL points, but looking pretty good, I thought. For the first time in a long time, was really getting in amongst it and was giving David Luiz all sorts of troubles. Mata looked very good as well. There's a lot of positives, I think, to take as a United fan out of that game. But we will come to the game in a bit more detail. In fact, we might even start there. Given the heated fracas at the end, we might start there. Let's see who else is in. Quick hello to Robert Fox, Ted01, Karthik is here. How are you doing? FPL Tips is here. How are you doing, FPL Tips? Andrew Mercado, I think is how you say that, is in. Lee must be happy with the Chelsea draw, Andrew is saying. I am. Although, to be fair, not that happy with the way Liverpool are playing right now. Not that happy. We're going to come to that a bit later on, given that Liverpool have got fixtures to improve upon the way that they're performing right now, with Cardiff and Fulham in the next 3. But we're not exactly the free scoring machine.
Fulham. I can't wait to talk about Cardiff and Fulham.
Oh, that game was an absolute car crash, wasn't it? Oh my God. Any team that Cardiff can score 4 past must be absolutely awful. And I tell you what, guys, I watched the Match of the Day highlights. Fulham have got a real problem. I saw a tweet just after I was watching Match of the Day, and someone, I think it was Danny Jameson, who we've actually bumped into down at the FPL show, haven't we, a couple of times?
Oh, look at you, name dropping.
Yeah, boom, name drop. We spoke to Danny Jameson a couple of times. Saw a tweet from him, and he said he extrapolated some of the data. If Fulham carry on the way they're conceding, they're going to have conceded 106 goals by the end of the season.
Bonkers, isn't it?
And that, my friends, is relegation material. Regardless of how free scoring Mitrovic and Schürrle are, they are going to go down.
I mean, they actually made 30... We'll talk about Fulham later, but they made 31 clearances in that game. 31. And they still conceded 4 goals. They made the most clearances out of all the Premiership teams this game week so far.
And a few of you guys, Ibrahim is saying Ream, Leo is saying Ream. Guys, this guy... I think is it Tim Ream? It is Tim Ream, isn't it? I remember seeing a tweet from Tom Campbell on Twitter. So if you guys aren't following Tom Campbell, @UtterlyTC, he's a really great member of the FPL community. and he puts his little match of the day notes on while he's doing match of the day. Really, really helpful they are. And one of his notes about the Fulham defence was he wasn't quite sure whether Tim Ream was drunk or not. And it was just like, I can totally relate to that. The guy was absolutely awful. I mean, goodness me, terrible.
But they did make 31 clearances, so imagine how bad it could have been.
He didn't. I don't know who was making those clearances, but it wasn't Tim Ream. He was basically on the floor, just rolling around and looking drunk most of the time. He was absolutely terrible.
He was on the Twitter Christmas night early, was he?
He absolutely was. Jatin is here. FPL Lawyer is here. How are you doing? I was just speaking to Lawyer before I come on. Thank you for joining. FPL Dare is here. And all sorts of you guys, brilliant. We've got 212 people in. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining. As ever, our Twitter profile on the left-hand side there. If you're not following us on Twitter, at FPL Family on Twitter, get over to there and follow me. And our Instagram is at FPL Family if you want to follow Sam and talk to Sam on that medium. How's the Facebook looking?
I just knew you were going to ask me that, and I meant to.
Excellent. The Facebook is looking still complete.
It's looking. It exists.
We have got a Facebook page, guys, okay? It's there, it exists. Is it any good? No, it's total guff.
Not.
It's total guff.
It's about as good as Tim Ream.
That should be one of the polls. What's better, Tim Ream's defending or our Facebook page?
Tim Ream's defending.
It's debatable. Absolutely debatable.
I do. I will. It's on my must do better list for sure.
Good. All right. Good.
Sorry.
Speaking of polls, guys, as ever, we've got some polls which are provided by you guys, the members of the FPL family community. Thank you for sending in your questions for the polls. Go to the little white eye in the top right-hand corner of the screen and click it, and you will find 4 questions. Very player-specific, actually, today. Very player-specific. I didn't want to go into a sort of how many points have you got, 0 to 12 or 13 to 20, because I think that'd just be disappointing for all of us. But the questions I've got in there: is it time for Anthony Martial? That's the first question. 7.2 million, as you mentioned before. Now started 3 games back to back. I think couple of goals obviously against Chelsea. Is it time to start considering Martial at 7.2? Second question: is Salah a must-have for Cardiff and Fulham of the next 3 games at Cardiff and Fulham, which, as we've already seen when they played each other this weekend, neither can defend. If Tim Ream is up against Firmino and Salah and Mane, then they have got a big, big problem. There's no doubt about it. Despite Liverpool not being free scoring right now, Tim Ream is free conceding, if that's the right phrase. It's not, but Fulham are all over the shop. And that question coming from FPL Lawyer, I was just talking to before I come on, so thank you for mentioning that one. Is Salah a must-have for the next 2 to 3 games? Question 3, Marcus Alonso or Marcus Alongo? How are you feeling about Marcus Alonso right now? No FPL returns again this week. I know he's been keeping clean sheets over the last few weeks, so that's keeping him ticking over. But we're not exactly getting the attacking returns that we thought we might get from Marcus Alonso. And he's up to 7 million now. He is an expensive defender to have. So, should we be keeping him? Yes or no? We'll be talking about that a bit later on. And then the final question in the poll, Murphy at Cardiff. So a 4.8 midfielder. Looked very, very good, actually. And
did you not call him out last week? Didn't you not?
He might have been on my list of, potential jammy picks, I think.
Was,
okay, well, you're going to give me a bit of credit for that, aren't you? Very good.
Yeah, well, only because mine came in, didn't it?
Right, so what you've done is, you've gone... You mentioned, Murphy from Cardiff, didn't you? So that I go, oh yeah, and didn't your jammy pick come in?
Well, no, because I was planning to, as soon as you said let's talk about the games, I was going to go, can we start with Sessegnon?
So Sessegnon was your jammy pick from during the week?
Yeah.
Scored the goal.
Got a bonus point, excellent. Got 8, didn't he?
Got a bonus point, a 4-2 defeat.
Whee.
Oh, goodness me. So there we go. The jammy pick comes in, I think, for possibly the first time this year.
No, it's the second.
Sorry, second. It's the second time.
Game week 9.
10 game weeks.
No, 9 game weeks.
Sorry.
9 game weeks, 2 jammy picks. I don't think that's that bad. It's better than last year.
What, when you had 2 in 38?
Yeah.
2 in 9 is an absolute miracle, yeah.
And also, did you notice Izzy back doing some bits again?
Yeah, he scored, didn't he?
He got an assist.
He's a bit unlucky, wasn't he? Because he hit it and it deflected off his mate. Yeah, so it probably should have been an Izquierdo goal. Yeah. And actually, with the Miljovic penalty, I thought we were going to be back to the old Millie and Izzy from last season. You guys remember the Millie and Izzy that you were loving at the back end of last season. But not to be. I mean, Izquierdo got the assist, of course, but Miljovic, uncharacteristically inaccurate from the spot. Or should we say a good save from Pickford? I think we probably should say a good save from Pickford. So Josh Murphy at Cardiff, 4.8, possible 5th midfielder. Tell me what you think, guys. Yes or no? Is he good? And we'll go into your first 11. Is he yes? But I'll bring him in just to enable somebody else or as bench fodder. Or no? Let us know about that, because I think Cardiff's fixtures, despite it being Cardiff, don't look too bad actually.
Well,
for
I've
next
got
year.
Liverpool in there.
Actually, no, I've said that. How do they look? Cardiff. Okay, Liverpool, yeah, and then Leicester, Brighton, Everton, and Wolves. So okay, get the Liverpool game out of the way, and then it's not looking too bad-ish. So yeah, Josh Murphy. The reason I put that in simply because I thought he was really good. Really impressed with him on match today. Very direct, very tricky. I don't know whether somebody had sort of lit a fire under him at the weekend, but he really was. He was on it. I thought.
We're
Really
just
on
playing against Tim Reid.
Or potentially he could just be playing against Tim Reid. All right, let's crack on with the games. Let's go to the live chat first and have a chat with you guys and see what you're saying. While I'm doing that, you can decide where we start.
Well, I thought you wanted to start at Stamford Bridge.
I do want to talk about that. Fire Talk is saying Murphy was my jammy pick last week. Yeah, I'd be impressed. I was very impressed. Mike is saying Murphy is a fraud. All right, well, I must admit, it's the first time that I've seen Murphy and thought this kid looks good. So it's not as if I've seen him over a few weeks and thought he's an FPL asset, but at the weekend did look pretty good, I have to say. All right, let's start then. Let's crack on with Chelsea 2, Manchester United 2. Not much of a first half. It was decent, but it came to life in the second half, particularly towards the end. Absolute phenomenal game. So what were your thoughts on that, and your thoughts in particular around the Manchester United team? It's just my phone.
What was that?
It's my phone buzzing.
Your phone.
And thoughts in particular on Martial. So two great finishes. 7.2 in the game. Started his third match on the spin. So what do you make? What do you make of Manchester United? Should we be considering them?
I don't know. So I have real issues with Man United at the moment because, and I was saying this to somebody on Instagram earlier, is for me you just don't know what Man United team you're going to get at the moment. So they for weeks I've been kind of going, nah, I don't really trust them. Don't know what's going on. Mourinho something needs to happen there. Then they go to Stamford Bridge. The first half was as expected, really. I was they
were poor. There's no doubt about it. They were poor.
But then they came to life in the second half, and
and again, sorry to interrupt you, but it's that they're really bad, and then they almost go like, oh, for goodness sake, and then they start playing, don't they? Somebody, a Pogba or a Lukaku or even a Jose, just tells them, come on, this is terrible. Let's go out there and play. It was the same against Newcastle. They were woeful in the first half, and then they were amazing in the second half, particularly Pogba. And again, first half against Chelsea, terrible. I mean, what's Pogba doing for the marking on the goal? He's there stamping his feet, moaning at Lindelof. It was absolutely terrible. And then in the second half, a totally different side. So what is going on? What is the mentality right now in United? And can you trust them from an FPL perspective?
Well, so that's my issue, is that I don't trust United as a team. I don't trust which United team we're going to get and whether we're going to get, because actually, if you get a decent... If every game you could guarantee that United would play the second half with the gusto that they performed in the second half against Chelsea, then it will be worth a punt on some Man United players because they'll pick up goals, they'll score, they'll win games. But you just don't know that. And then I also just don't trust Mourinho to not just go, oh, I'll give Rashford a start, or and just drop Martial, because he has a tendency to do that. Just fall out with somebody on the training ground, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, although I think certainly over the last few weeks, Martial seems preferred over Sanchez, and you've got to say that he does a lot more with the ball, Martial, than Sanchez. Sanchez has got this track record of just losing possession far too easily, which he has done for many seasons actually. But he's kind of overshadowed that by scoring plenty of goals. But without the goals, he's starting to look a bit of a liability, and I wonder whether Jose was kind of not being told, but they pay Sanchez such big wages, don't they? Because they got him for virtually no money, if not free. I can't remember how much they paid for him, but it wasn't a lot. So they give him these big wages. Maybe he feels like he has to play him, but in actual fact, Martial looks the far better player.
Well, I know Sanchez has got a lot of personal things going on at the minute, hasn't he? Because his missus broke up with him. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's. We
can always trust Sam from FPL Family to come up with the baby and the relationship news.
Yeah, she's like some stunning model. She's dumped him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he's a bit upset about that, is he?
Heartbroken. Yeah, apparently heartbroken. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a bit of gossip for you.
This is why you tune into FPL Family. It's not. Don't worry about stats and stuff. It's all about their wags and their girlfriends and what's happening behind the scenes.
Well,
that's the important stuff.
I like to keep my eye on what's going on in their family lives, because if they've had a baby, they have sleepless nights. If they've broken up with their partners, they play badly. So yeah. So Sanchez has got issues. And he wants to leave, doesn't he, apparently, if you listen to all the news reports.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know with Martial. So Martial, there is no debate that Martial in the second half at Stamford Bridge played really, really well. And if you could guarantee that level of performance for him every week, he's definitely worth a punt. Now, you've also got to consider the price tag. So you're talking about a Man United attacking asset at, 7.2?
7.2, yeah.
So at 7.2, he's in there with the likes of Arnie and Zaha, who aren't doing much at the moment.
Well, they're forwards. Who's 7.2 in the midfields? You've got Maddison, you've got Mkhitaryan and people like that. Mora, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but you're talking about, for me, I'd rather invest in Martial at the moment than I would in, what I meant by that is, than I would in a 7 million attacking player. Okay. I'd rather have one of the cheaper attackers and allow me to have an extra 7 mil
have Martial
midfielder. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, let's look at the Man United fixtures as well. Everton at home, Bournemouth away, Man City away. Those are two quite tricky away games there, to be fair. Before Palace go to Old Trafford and then away at Southampton.
But don't you sort of think that those tricky fixtures are the games that it's going to be easier to get the Man United players up for?
Well, no, maybe, but Bournemouth are very good at home, very good home record, despite only getting a draw this weekend. I think it was 0-0, wasn't it, with Southampton, which I think they'll consider a bit of a bad result. But then, Man City away, can you see them getting anything at the Etihad the way that City are playing? Not a chance.
Well, no, but it's a derby, Lee. I
appreciate anything can happen, right? But I'm not.
And you would
not busting to get Martial in off the back of this week. I'm really not.
Nor am I. But my point is that I actually think that Man United are more likely to get points out of those games, those hard games, because for some reason they seem to play better in those games.
Okay. All right. Well, let's finish up on United there. Then the other one that I wanted to mention was 6.2 million Juan Mata, who once again, despite having this sort of love-hate relationship with Jose Mourinho, has again dug him out. I mean, all the headlines are going to Martial and to this random guy off the Chelsea bench at the end of the game. But do not underestimate the value of Juan Mata in that game. I thought he was sensational.
But did make a very poor tackle. On his mate as well.
Yes, he did. He did on Azpilicueta, wasn't it? Who I think he's pretty good friends with, and I think they sort of laughed about it afterwards. It was bad. I don't think it's in his nature, and I think the referee took that into consideration. He's actually a proper nice guy, isn't he?
Azpilicueta looked at him as if to say,
"What are you doing? What are you doing, mate?" Yeah, but Mata's like, I've got so much time for Mata because he does loads of work for charity and stuff, doesn't he? But nevertheless, it was a bad tackle. But I want to focus on how creative he was in that game, and particularly the pace, actually, that he showed to get ahead of David Luiz for that second Martial goal. Because he knew that if he could make that, they had men over with Martial and Lukaku in the middle. So I thought he was very, very good, Mata. 6.2 on your radar? Periphery, maybe. No?
No. I like him. I like Mata as a player. I think he's a great player. From an FPL point of view, I'm not really on board with it at the moment. I can sort of get on board with Martial. I can sort of see why people are going to him. He's probably the only one at the moment.
You see, I think that's a classic FPL move, isn't it? He's got a couple of goals, so therefore he's on everyone's radar, Martial. But Mata, he's not getting any love anywhere in the FPL community yet. But he was really creative in that game.
I don't know why. I tell you why it's Jose's fault. I don't trust him. I just don't trust him not to do something ridiculous. And this is why I don't want a United player. I feel like I've got enough rotation risks already in different parts. To consider with the City players and the Liverpool players and everything else. I don't want to be involved in the Man United nonsense as well.
So with that in mind then, let's move on. Let's move on to Chelsea then and talk about those guys. So I'd like your thoughts on Alonso in terms of how attacking he's not being right now. Although having said that, there was a couple of moments in the game at the weekend where he did find himself in some pretty advanced positions. There was one where I think who played the ball over. Was it Rudiger or maybe it was Jorginho? I can't remember. There was a little lofted ball over. And he was onside and just miscontrolled it. But he was like miles ahead of the centre halves and found himself in so much space. Had he controlled that nicely, probably would have slotted it away. So
there was an Alonso to Hazard, or was it the other way around? I can't remember now because I remember going, that would have been some nice fancy points in that one.
Yeah. But at 7 million, is he now too expensive? If you've got him, do you stick?
Well, I didn't get him at 7, did I? So it's a bit. At the moment, I still feel like Alonso has a place in my team because I just know that he's the sort of player that as soon as I take him out, I'll regret it because he does this, doesn't he? He keeps lots of clean sheets and he'll go on a bit of a lean spell in terms of scoring goals, and then he'll come back and he'll score 2, and you'll suddenly get a big. A big one.
You'll get a haul from somewhere, yeah. And what about Hazard? Are you concerned about Hazard? Because, no points at the weekend.
What? Because he's had one game of no points.
I know. You keep him. And to be honest, and I saw Karthik just say it in the live chat, it's a great point, and I noticed that Sky, when we watched the game, gave the man of the match to Ashley Young. Now, absolute fair play to Ashley Young. He was phenomenal the weekend. Absolutely phenomenal. Kept Hazard in check. And of course, Hazard got free a couple of times, but 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, Ashley Young did a really, really great job against Hazard. Kept him right in his pocket. So, fair play to Ashley Young for doing that. But yeah, not concerned about Hazard. Keeping for the long term, I think.
Certainly Hazard will be in my team probably for most of the season, if not all the rest of the season. Alonso, I can't see me getting rid of Alonso. I just can't. I mean, you could downgrade him to one of the other Chelsea defenders if you wanted to cover the clean sheets and save some money.
Rudiger is 5'9" and Louise is 5'5". So could you save £1.5 million?
You could. You absolutely could.
It's feasible, isn't it?
You absolutely could, and you could cover the clean sheets. And because he's not being that attacking, you're potentially safe anyway. If you've got Rudiger or Louise. But yeah, for me at the moment, I'm just going to stick with Alonso for now. Like I say, I've had him for weeks. I think I had him at 6.5 or something ridiculous, so it doesn't matter to me. Keep for now. All right, keep for now. So that is Chelsea versus Man United, which was one of the more entertaining games this weekend for sure. Another really entertaining game, and we don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't think that we're going to be getting too many of the FPL assets from either Cardiff or Fulham. Certainly not defensively, for a start. But give us your thoughts on that game and what happened. I mean, it was 2-2 on the half hour, and I was just thinking this actually could go. This could be any score. This could literally be 6-6. The way that they were defending all of them was absolutely terrible. Give us your view on Schürrle's goal as well. I mean, what an absolute belter that was. I mean, Schürrle, I don't know how much he is in the game. Let's see, he is 5.9, Schürrle. Bargain. It's week in, week out, though, Schürrle. We say it every week. Well, I said it last week, and I almost struggled when I said it. He is shoot on sight, isn't he? He is. He gets the ball and he just bangs it. And to be fair, as Frank Lampard used to say, if you don't shoot, you don't score. And to be fair to him, he shoots a lot, and he does seem to score a few, Schürrle. So you considering him? So I find Cardiff and Fulham, both of them, really, really difficult from a fantasy point of view, because they're just a nightmare, aren't they? Like they can't keep a clean sheet, so you don't want any of their. So defenses. Who would you consider then? Anybody from either of those sides? Well, I've still got. I think Mitrovic got an assist at the weekend. He did get an assist. Not really amongst the goals. So. Sessegnon I like. Schürrle I like. Do I like them enough to replace somebody else in my team with them? No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Tim Ream 4.3. Yeah, I'm definitely getting him. Camarasa, he's come up a few times. He got another assist this game week. He's a real cheap enabler down at Cardiff. 4.5ish. Yeah. Okay. And he's been doing a few things of late, so he's one to definitely keep an eye on. I think the challenge with Mitrovic in particular, just to get back to the people that the FPL assets in this game. He was 6.9, and apart from the assist, which was actually pretty good, he wasn't really in the game very much, Mitrovic, in my mind. And if I was an owner, I'd be worried that, and we've seen it before with other sides where they let in so many goals that the forwards just, they lose the faith a little bit, don't they? They're a bit like looking behind them going, well, no matter how many I score, we're still going to lose this game. And my fear is that Mitrovic is maybe looking behind him and going, what is going on back there? What is going on? Well, and I wonder if he gets a bit disillusioned. I don't know. As a Mitrovic non-owner, despite the fixtures, I'm not currently thinking about getting on him. Which, given that we're on the FPL show a couple of weeks ago, saying, and I was saying that he looked good for the next few fixtures. I still think he does. And let's be honest, he didn't blank at the week and got an assist, but I'm not sure anymore because I just think he's going to be looking behind him, going, what is going on back there? I mean. So, take it from another point of view. So, Cardiff scored 4 goals at the weekend. They actually only had 5 shots on target. So, they were actually fairly decent attacking in terms of attacking. And Josh Oram is saying, Mitrovic did have a lot of shots on goal this week and each week. So, they do go for it. Yeah. But it's just both of them. Both of them are both sides. They've got. it's almost like they only know how to win a game by just attacking. So, like I said earlier, Fulham 31 clearances. Sorry, Cardiff, they had 22 shots over the course of that game. Who has 22 shots in a game?
Yeah,
that just doesn't happen. You don't like. Where's the defence gone for both sides that you have the opportunity to score 20 or to get 22 shots?
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on, because I don't think I'm certainly not thinking about getting any Cardiff players in. Even Josh Murphy. I mean, if I'm looking at that poll, don't forget the polls, guys. Top right hand corner, click the little eye. One of the questions is Josh Murphy, yes or no. It's a no from me, but I'd be interested to get you guys' thoughts on it, whether you want to bring him in or not.
The only real thing to say is just get the attacking players for whoever's playing against Cardiff and Fulham.
That is more to the point, isn't it? Yeah, and I think Cardiff go to Anfield next game week, so we've got to talk about
Liverpool.
that.
Get all of Liverpool.
And then whoever's playing Fulham, have a look at that, because whoever is up against Tim Ream each week is going to get hat-trick. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
In fact, that can be my jammy pick every week.
Whoever plays Tim Ream. I think they play Bournemouth actually next week. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, so Bournemouth go to Craven Cottage, and the way that Bournemouth attack, all right, they're not quite as good away from home, but they're going to fancy themselves, aren't they? Wilson, I mean, even with the amount of chances he misses,
Wilson, King, Fraser, Brooks,
he's going to get
on one of them.
He's going to get so many chances. The law of averages says that Wilson's going to get a couple. All right, let's move on to, why don't we do the Spurs game next then? West Ham 0, Spurs 1 at the London Stadium. Really good result. And one player that I'd like to talk about is Eric Lamela. Now, I've been less than complimentary about Eric Lamela in the past.
Understatement of the year.
And I think rightly, he's been guff, hasn't he?
What?
Up until
you could. No, I won't.
We haven't even
have
got. Where's the
this.
Spurs glasses? They're behind us
I
again.
won't have this. I think Eric Lamela is a really decent player.
In the last 3 or 4 game weeks, he's not looked too bad, I'll admit. Go on, get him on. So Eric Lamela, up until the last, so he's in good form right now. No doubt about it. He's in good form. But generally speaking, he's rubbish.
No, I cannot have this. I cannot have this Lamela bashing.
Come on then, rather than keep interrupting me, give us your views on the game then. What did you make of the Spurs performance?
As I told you, we'd win the game. I told you we would win that game.
I love it when we get to Spurs every week. It's ridiculous.
I did tell you we'd win that game. I was very impressed with Spurs defensively in that game, given how injury ravaged our defence is at the moment.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I was very pleased with that.
Arnautovic and the West Ham forwards a little unlucky not to score, do you think? I mean, Hugo Lloris was on fantastic form. I think Arnautovic on another day, guys, could have had a couple of goals. He's sitting in my team with a 1-pointer, which I'm very, very upset about. Well, I feel 2 ways about Arnautovic. One was he could have had a couple of goals. The other one was he could easily have got sent off. I don't know if you saw that whole kind of like little bit of a headbutt as he got up, followed by a bit of an elbow, and it wasn't a particularly good. Can I say it wasn't a good headbutt? It was a weak headbutt and elbow, if you know what I mean. It was just a real flaky thing. And but I've seen people go for less than that, right? So
sure. A
bit lucky not to see red potentially. I don't know if there's going to be a retrospective ban coming in that we need to look out for. I don't think so. We need to keep our eye on that. But equally, could have had a couple of goals. So I think I'm sticking with Arnautovic on the basis that the fixtures look pretty good. I think in the sort of medium to long term, and he could have easily had a couple of goals. Very easily had a couple of goals.
I think from a West Ham point of view, there isn't, watching that game, I've not been in any desperate hurry to get on Arnie. I still don't feel like I'm in any desperate hurry. I felt like, Lloris did play very, very well in that game. But I also felt like Arnie should have done better with some of the opportunities that he has.
Yep. A quick word on.
I think Yarmolenko's injury is bad news.
Oh yeah, it didn't look good. Yeah,
I think that's really bad news. 6 months they're talking about being out for. Which
yes, that's not good at all, is it?
No, and actually the 3 of them, Yarmolenko, Felipe Anderson, and Onani, that when they playing together, they were playing really well, and there was some real dynamics growing with the 3 of them. And Rice, I suppose you put him in there as well. So you kind of wonder now, moving forward with Yarmolenko's injury, how that will impact on Felipe Anderson and Arnie, and how the rest of the team will kind of play without him, I guess. Because it's a shame, because he was doing really well, and he was on my watch list for sure as a potential asset that I was going to get on. Yeah,
and I think if you've got West Ham players in your side, including Arnautovic, I don't think you should be too disillusioned with that result. I mean, Spurs dug out a 1-0, fair play to them, and it was a very, very crafty little header from Lamela, who actually had a very, very good game. So at 6-4, one for the radar, in my opinion. I'm just looking at some of the tackling stats. Now, Rice was top for tackles this week with 10, and Diop was second with what looks like 8. So, there was... Obviously, they did a great job, those guys, at breaking up the play and counter-attacking when Spurs were coming forward. So, my view is that West Ham played very well that game. Unlucky not to get something from it, for sure. I don't know what their XG stats were. I think they were about sort of 0.8 or 0.9. So, possibly a bit unlucky to not get anything from it. However, Spurs grind out a 1-0, so fair play.
I think, from a Spurs point of view, when I watched Match of the Day with you last night, the most interesting thing for me was the lack of Kane. Yeah, so
tell me about Kane. There's a few of the guys, Karthik in the live chat, there's a few of you guys in there saying, what's going on? Because this guy's a complete non-asset right now, right? He's 12.5, 12 whatever he is in the game. Really, really expensive. Second most expensive, I think, in the game. Dropping deeper, not getting in amongst the points. He's really, really off it, isn't he? And the likes of Moura and even Lamella now are getting a bit more airtime than Kane. So, can you stick up for him at all? Or how do you feel about him?
Okay, so there's a few things to say about Kane. I was really... So when the team news came out and Dembele and Eriksen were on the bench, that was, for me, that was a bit of an issue, because one of the reasons why I kept with Kane for this game week rather than doing the extra transfer and taking a 4-point hit was because Dembele was back.
The impact he has on the team. Yeah, absolutely.
Dembele playing with Kane makes a massive difference to Kane, and it makes a difference to where he's playing on the pitch. So seeing that's a problem. Now,
did Dembele come on at the weekend?
Yeah, but moving forward, like for the City game, you can bet that Dembele is going to play. If Dembele is now fit and ready to play, he's going to play. Same with Eriksen. I think it was we'll have them on the bench if we need them. They'll come on. Give them a few minutes at the end of the game to kind of ease them both back in. Really.
Sure.
So it's tough with Kane. I mean, so we've scored 16 goals so far this season. Kane's got 5 of them, which is 31% of our goals, which actually isn't horrendous.
He's no value though, right? He's not. You can't get him in your team at 12.5 right now. You just can't. Not with the City game next, right?
You're not going to get him in. What would I do? What am I going to do with him? I don't know. Is the honest answer. I haven't yet decided what to do with him. Because it's City next, which obviously is a difficult game. However, Is there somebody... I don't know. I just don't know. Right. I guess I'm going to wait and see what happens with it. Because it pains me to say it, but the obvious transfer is Kane to one of the Arsenal assets. So...
Is that an obvious transfer? I mean,
let's see what happens tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, let's. I mean, one of the obvious transfers for me is to go from Kane to Aguero, and I know that Aguero's only getting
60 minutes though.
He's getting his 60 minutes, but I tell you what, he was very unlucky not to get, and probably should have had at least 2 at the weekend.
I was glad he didn't.
It was 5-0 to City in the end, with some absolutely fantastic goals, from Man City. Raheem Sterling benched, much to the disappointment of many FPL managers out there.
Did not see that coming.
No, but again, it just shows you that not even Sterling, in the form that he's in, is safe from the Pep roulette. And if he was going to drop anybody, you wouldn't have thought him dropping Sterling, because Sterling is in absolutely mad form.
Yeah.
Although what I will say is that even though they rested him, they still did an absolute job on Burnley. I was kind of interested to see how Mendy and Sané were going to play together in the same team. And it felt like Pep was kind of trying that out against Burnley at home. I think he felt like if you're going to try that in any game, Burnley at home's probably the game to try it.
Yeah.
He tried it. It worked very well. Sané, in particular, did very, very well. Mendy picking up a cheeky assist, I think, in like the 89th minute or something.
Yeah, I was very annoyed about that.
Very happy about that. But Aguero, yeah, I mean, he missed it. He missed a sitter. There was one where Joe Hart made a very good save, and Aguero had pretty much an open goal to hit at and fluffed his lines. It went out for a throw, I think. So, despite him only getting an hour, he still looks very, very dangerous. And he's, I think, second in the underachievers for XG this game week. Second only to Miljokovic, who missed that penalty. So
the thing is,
Aguero potentially a little bit unlucky to not score a few more points.
But I'm not going to get him in when he's playing Spurs next.
Okay, even with Spurs having a bit of an injury crisis at the back?
No, because defensively we've looked solid so far this season. I mean, our conceded goals average is something like 0.7 per game. It's the same as Liverpool's. Did I write that down? No, I didn't. I think it's something like 0.7. So we're not conceding huge numbers of goals in games. So Aguero's not going to come to Wembley and go on an absolute scoring spree.
Okay.
I don't know. The Aguero 60-minute thing annoys me. So if there's somebody out there that's going to get 90 minutes and is in as good form, so Lacazette really is the one I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Then
that might be
the way I go.
Sticking with City for a moment, the one player that we think is going to get 90 minutes when he's back and fit is Kevin De Bruyne.
Yes.
What a player to have coming in. I mean, they've hardly missed him, frankly. Yet here comes possibly, arguably the Premier League's best player coming back into a side that's already flying. I mean, goodness me, they're going to be so good, aren't they? Already are good. Thoughts on him? 9.7 in the game now. Looks like a bargain for those managers that want to get on him early.
I fancy it.
After the Spurs game, because they've got to go to Wembley next, but then after that they've got 2 home games. Now, one of those is the Manchester derby. We know anything can happen. But there's a couple of really nice home games there where at 9.7, if you can get on him early, could be very, very good value, right?
I do fancy him for sure. I don't know that there's much to say. I mean, he's FPL royalty, right? The guy, but he'll take out points for fun once he's fit again. Do I want him? I'm not doing anything before Spurs. I've already got enough assets for those 2 teams, so I don't want any more playing against each other. But moving forwards, yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Okay. Tayyeb is saying KDB is the best. Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant, isn't he? Josh Iam, De Bruyne makes City even better. Yeah, he absolutely does. Absolutely does.
And he will be rotation proof.
Amulet is saying last season City scored 7 or 8 versus Spurs, so it's not exactly. It's not. You shouldn't worry, I don't think, about getting. I'm certainly going to be playing Aguero next week. No problem at all.
I'm not saying he can't score against us. I'm just saying he won't score 3.
Okay. Andrew Macado is saying Spurs are saving their worst defensive performance for against Man City. Goodness me.
Let's hope not.
We need to move on, otherwise you're going to get very, very upset about things very, very quickly. Thoughts, at the risk of making you even more upset, thoughts on Benjamin Mendy. Now, Mendy was a very, very popular asset at the beginning of the season, then was kind of injured for a bit, and people are kind of stalling on getting him back in because they've got the Alonsos and the Robertsons and the Trippiers already, all very, very good assets. So is there space for Mendy in our teams? At 6.2, if he's going to be a regular starter under Pep, which he was before the injury, what do we think about him? Like we said before, nice fixtures coming up after Spurs. You'd want to be on somebody that's going to get you assists and bonus points every week. Can you make space for him in your side?
Yeah, I can.
Are you going to?
Haven't decided yet. So I've only actually had Mendy for 1 game week, if you remember, and it was the game week that he suddenly was injured and didn't play.
Okay.
So I can make space for him. It'll probably mean losing Alonso, Trippier, or it depends. If I downgrade Kane, then I don't have to lose any of them because I can upgrade one of my other defenders. So that's not a problem. It's when, I think, for me with Mendy. I don't, like I just said, I've already got a couple of Spurs and a City. Do I want another one? Like, they're about to play each other. I don't want 4 players in from that. So for me, it would be after the Spurs game. And that isn't because I don't think he can do something against Spurs. It's just I have to think about the logistics of the way my team is going to set out that week.
Okay. Notorious Nerd is saying Laporte is more nailed and cheaper and a goal threat than Mendy. So potentially more of a goal threat.
Although Walker was nailed and he keeps getting rotated.
Well, Laporte, I think Laporte is. I mean, I don't think, despite Otamendi being hailed as Pep's Superman last year, he doesn't seem to be getting a look in, does he? Laporte is absolutely his man. He's absolutely his man, Laporte. So I think he is nailed. I struggle with that point about him being a goal threat. I mean, yeah, he has scored, right? But he's hardly prolific.
It's not in the same way as Mendy.
No, Mendy is getting, little cheeky assists here and there. He's getting forward. The heat maps look good. He gets, I think, what was that game week a few game weeks ago where they drew at Wolves, I think. Yeah, he got, a 2-pointer, but 2 bonus points, right? Just because of how forward thinking he was. So. Yeah. I think he's the one to have for sure. You're pretty happy with Ederson though, presumably. That gives you a bit of stability at the back there.
Yeah, I mean Ederson, I pondered losing Ederson during my wildcard, if you remember, but actually, he's ticking over the points for me nicely. It's covering the City clean sheets. All right, it doesn't cover the assists necessarily, or the extra points that Mendy gets, but he does cover the clean sheet. So I'll be sticking with Ederson, yeah.
Okay, very good. Let's move on then. So Wolves 0, Watford 2, which kind of
shocked me.
Yeah, it kind of put the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit. So a lot of people going on the double up on Wolves' defence, if not treble, actually, if not treble. I had Matt Doherty. Yeah, there's a lot of Bennett, Doherty, and Patricios out there.
Really?
Yeah, there's a few of those.
Wow.
There's absolutely a few of those. And for anybody that's doubled on Wolves' defence, that was a bit of an unexpected result. Particularly as going into the game, both Gray and Deeney didn't play for Watford. So I was kind of sitting there thinking, what sort of Watford are we going to see here? And I'll tell you what, we saw a really fluid and dynamic Watford attack.
Yeah,
I mean, the goal that broke the deadlock, Capoue, there was nothing fluid or dynamic about that. He absolutely just levered it into the bottom corner. It's a sensational strike. But the one that was fluid and dynamic was Pereira with the outside of his good foot. Was it his left or his right? I think he's left-footed. Outside of his left foot, sort of curled it round Patricio. High class goal from Pereira. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and that was it. Game over. Wolves were never going to get 3. I mean, Wolves, for all of their defensive solidity, hardly are prolific up front. So for them to come back from 2-0 down, even at home, was always going to be a big ask. So what's your thoughts? Are you panicking about the players you've got for Wolves now, or are you thinking that's a bit of a blip potentially?
No, I'm not. No, look, you can't panic about players that are 4.5 or 4 point whatever they are. Like, Bennett, at the end of the day, when I got Bennett, I got him for bench fodder, and he's just been brilliant. So he's been playing for me. And at that point, from that point of view, you can't panic about these players. The one that's a little bit annoying is Jimenez, but then I still think Watford are good, and I still Wolves. I still rate Wolves. I don't think that there's any need to kind of panic sell these players.
Let's have a look at the fixtures going forward then. So Wolves have got Brighton away, Spurs, Arsenal, Huddersfield, Cardiff. So the next 3 actually look pretty tricky before they go to Huddersfield after the international break in Gameweek 13, the next international break. So
it depends, because they got Brighton, did you say?
Brighton away,
depends if Glenn Murray's going to be all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, let's hope he is. But Brighton, I think, have shown that they're no mugs either. So going away to the Amex, tricky game, and then Spurs at home, Arsenal away. It's looking tricky. So if you've got one Wolves asset, particularly if that asset is Doherty, I think you can absolutely not worry about that and stick. But if you've got a couple or 3, I mean, should you be worried between now and Game Week 13?
Well, I don't think I'd have 3 Wolves defenders. I think that is overkill. I think I'd lose one of them.
Okay.
I don't quite know which one I'd lose though. Probably Bennett, or Patricio. Maybe I might change keepers.
Tough to lose Bennett for anybody though, because he's so cheap.
He's so cheap. I get the Doherty one because obviously he's got the attacking returns as well. Bennett, there's not that many that are in the same price tag, so unless you've got something in the bank to upgrade him, he's a bit of a problem. But you could swap your keeper. There's quite a lot of keeper options. Okay,
and then thoughts on Watford then. So, no Deulofeu yet for Watford. And you guys, so Joe and a few of you guys that are on the live chat are saying that he's going to make them even better when he comes along. And I think that's absolutely right. Pereira popped up with an absolute beauty. Capoue looked good. I don't think they had the centre half either. So Cabaselli, I don't think, played either at the weekend.
No, because he was suspended.
So despite missing all of these key players, a really, really good performance from Watford.
And it was interesting, really, because we spoke at the beginning of the season and we didn't give Watford a lot of credit pre-season, and then they started the season incredibly well. Beyond expectations, I think.
Oh, you guys are saying Deulofeu did start. Sorry, that's my mistake. Should have paid more attention to match today.
Beyond expectations. And then obviously the last few game weeks, they've had a couple of iffy results again. And as a result of that, I think for me personally anyway, it's made me kind of not really look at the Watford assets in any real, or with any real intensity. Whereas having watched them against Wolves, you suddenly kind of go, well, actually, do you know what? If you can go and score 2 goals at Wolves are very, very solid defensively. They've played really well in the opening games of the season. And Watford, to go there and beat Wolves 2-0, that is a really, really good result for Watford. Okay. So I think it's time to start kind of pondering on Watford again, really, for me. I don't know.
2 assists for Decore as well. I think he got 35 BPS, which is in the top 10 for players for the game week. Was at minus 0.45 for his XG delta, for you guys that like those sorts of stats. So potentially a bit unlucky not to be in the points in some way. To get more points than he did. So what do you think of Decore? 2 assists, was very effective. Actually worked pretty well with Deulofeu and with Pereira, I thought. So get him in, Radar. What are you thinking?
Well, the problem is with Watford is whoever I seem to get seems to troll me. So I got Deeney and he did nothing. So whoever I get, I'll put some sort of bock on them.
I think Deeney and Gray might struggle to get back into that team after watching such a fluid performance. I mean, Deeney,
really well.
for all of his strengths, of which one is clearly his strength, he was holding it up and being quite creative for Gray in the last few weeks. But this week, without him, there wasn't that kind of
long ball,
bolt it, pump it forward, he'll hold it up and bring players into play. They worked it through the channels, they worked the diagonal, worked it through the transition from midfield to forward, and it worked really well for them. So
I thought
we kind of tempted to stick with that, to be honest.
I did think Pereira played really well, so he's definitely one that I'm now considering on watching. I think it's too early to move after one goal.
He looked good at the beginning of the season, though, right?
He did, yeah. What's Watford's fixtures like?
All right, let's have a look. Don't know. Let's see. Huddersfield at home, which is very nice indeed. Newcastle away, which is also pretty nice. Southampton, Liverpool and Leicester. So,
well, actually, maybe it is the time to move on. Watford.
It's not too bad. Bad. I'm pretty happy to have Ben Foster throughout that run, particularly as my sub-keeper is Hennessy, who's going to get absolutely no game time with Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs and Man United coming up. So to have Ben Foster there against those next three in particular, pretty happy to stick. Let's go for Liverpool then. Huddersfield 0, Liverpool 1 at Huddersfield. What did you make of that game? A very interesting starting 11 from a Liverpool perspective. A bit, a number of changes. No Mane clearly because of the thumb issue. No Firmino because he wanted to give him a rest, so only played him for about 10 minutes or so. Thoughts on the whole rotation at Liverpool and the problems that might give us as FPL managers?
Well, so as you know, I got Salah back for this week.
Yeah, good shout.
Which worked well, and I captained him, so happy with that. I was mightily relieved when the team sheet came out because I was expecting rotation, and I just hoped that with the thumb injury it would be Mane and not Salah, and it was, so that was fine. And
again, we're sitting
as
here.
predicted, I thought Firmino would get a rest, and he did.
Yeah, sure.
Now my issue now is that so now Mane, I know he's injured, but he's had a rest. Firmino's had a rest. Well, when's Salah is Salah going to get one next? Like, these aren't fixtures that you need these players for, but you do need to win the Red Star Belgrade games, which surround them. So
it'll be interesting, won't it? Because the next two games at home, we've got to play Red Star, I think, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which really, that we got to win that, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
after the loss in Napoli, we've got to win that. In fact, we've got to win both those ties, Red Star home and away. So, given that you've got to win that, then Cardiff at home the following weekend. Don't want to worry you, but does he rest Salah for that game?
Well, I said that to you, didn't I, during the game when Salah was playing? I was like, you have to win that Red Star Belgrade game. Somebody is getting a rest, and Salah's the only one that hasn't had one yet. I don't know.
Amon is saying Salah is safe, Sam, and I'm with him as well. By the way, I think so.
The reason I got Salah over the other two, well, I already said I wasn't going to get a Mane, but Firmino I did talk about, didn't I? And I've been speaking about him for a while. I just felt that Salah was the most safe of them all.
Yeah, the one thing that filled me with a little bit of dread was Sturridge starting. Now, I appreciate what we said on the live stream last time. Yeah, player of the month, and yeah, he scored a fluke against Chelsea. I understand all that. But he's terrible. He is not a good player. He's not terrible, but he's not Firmino, right? I mean, he's not obviously saying the obvious, right? But when I saw that team sheet, I just thought, Salah is going to struggle to get into the sorts of positions that we want him in because, Firmino's not going to be pulling the defence around. And Huddersfield are no mugs, right? Huddersfield are no mugs. Despite where they are in the league, they've played some very, very difficult sides in the last few game weeks. As Wagner was saying when he and Klopp did their press conference post-match together. I don't know if you saw that. It was very good. So they did their post-match together. And actually Klopp came out and said that, you should not underestimate, and we did, Liverpool should not underestimate, and we didn't underestimate Huddersfield because the fixtures that they've had up to now have been very difficult. He expects it to be a tough game. It was. They are no mugs, Huddersfield.
Yeah, I mean, you only had 2 shots on target the whole game.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't play well, no doubt about it.
But that's credit to
Huddersfield also played well. But one of the reasons we didn't play well was because Sturridge was there, and he's really, really not very good.
But I thought Shaqiri played quite well.
Yeah, he was fine. I mean, he did play very well in terms of he picked that ball up and it was a lovely through ball to Salah, which is the sort of ball that Salah wants. That is the sort of ball that Salah wants. And Liverpool have been crying out for a bit of thrust from that centre midfield for a long time. No Oxlade-Chamberlain, no...
But you said he's back soon, right?
I think he's coming back, but no Oxlade-Chamberlain, no Keita, and no Nabil Fekir that we didn't sign in the summer. So you've got sort of Milner, Henderson, Wijnaldum, all those sorts of players that do a lot of sidewaysy creative stuff, but don't really run with it. The one time Shaqiri picked it up and was incisive, Salah scored the goal. So that's the sort of movement we need. So I don't think Shaqiri becomes an FPL asset because of that. I still feel that there's going to be a lot of rotation there.
Okay.
At the back, though, what did you make of Trent Alexander-Arnold not playing again now? So is he now a rotation risk?
Well, so I mean, I've said before that if you can afford Robbo, for goodness sake, have Robbo over Trent, because Robbo, for a start, Robbo will give you a lot more in attacking returns than Trent ever will.
But say you can't, because that's an extra million, right?
But I wouldn't spend 5.5 on Trent, because I just feel like now, I mean, that's 2 games on the trot. That's not a rest.
So Trent is about 5-1, 5-2, I think. And a lot of people are considering a sideways move to Gomez, because Gomez looks, I think he's about the same sort of price. Looks nailed on, regardless of where he plays. He might play centre-half with Van Dijk, with Trent wide right. Or he seems to, for some reason, like Lovren at the back and putting Gomez on the right. So whichever way you look at it, Gomez looks pretty assured of starts, no? Yeah. So I think if you've got Trent, I think, guys, unfortunately, you now have to consider Trent as a bit of a rotation risk. Now, I did think at the weekend against Huddersfield, one of the reasons he went for Lovren and Van Dijk is you've got that aerial ability, right? You could see that Billing, in particular, was very good with his... And by the way, I want to talk about Billing in a minute. But Billing's long throws were effective and have been effective, particularly with Schindler he stood in that sort of semi-offside position, come onside, and Billing would hit him every time with that throw-in. Well, the one thing that Lovren is pretty good at, despite being a pretty awful defender, is that he's very, very good aerially. He's very good. He's awful. He's very good with his head, right? So I think that's part of the reason that Klopp went with the back four that he did. Now, be interesting to see against Cardiff what happens, because whether Trent comes back in for that game.
Well, don't you think that whoever plays on Wednesday, that will give us an indication as to what we're going to see on Saturday?
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would like to think that. I'd like to think that the Gomez and Van Dijk partnership at the back, he's seen that's flourishing, right? And it was. So I don't really understand this bringing Lovren in thing. What he likes about Lovren, but let's see how that develops. See how that develops. But despite me saying how bad Lovren is, 30 points in the bonus point system this week. So he's obviously doing something right. 3 bonus points. So who am I to be calling Lovren bad? I mean, clearly as an FPL asset, he could be good. I mean, 4-7, 4-8, whatever he is in the game. If he starts getting more regular starts...
I can't see him getting regular starts,
This is it. I think he's still a rotation.
I think he and Trent will just share game time. I just think we'll see that over the course of the season, particularly if you get cup runs or you go further in the Champions League. You can see those two sharing match time.
All right, thoughts on Billing as well then, despite being, or as well as being the king of the long throw, I think was on a couple of direct free kicks. Now, Billing is something like 4.5 in the game. I mean, he's surely a great enabler, right, in that midfield.
And I think we've spoken, or you've spoken already, about how difficult Huddersfield's fixtures have been so far this season. So actually, from a fantasy point of view, you haven't really looked at Huddersfield, because you look at the game and go, well, I don't want any Huddersfield players against Liverpool or whoever. Those fixtures will ease, and when they ease, then the Huddersfield players, particularly Billing, who I thought looked really, really promising against you, and had real potential, and as you say, is cheap as chips in the game, so it will enable you. Even if you don't play him, he's a massive enabler.
Another thing to consider about about Huddersfield is that their fixtures look great going forward. According to the ticker, they're only bettered by Leicester. So Watford, Fulham, West Ham, Wolves, and then Brighton. So if you're looking for a bit of an enabler in that middle of midfield, and I'm considering this week actually, guys, if I want to get onto Salah for the Cardiff game, Billing is one that might come in for me this week, potentially, to free up some funds.
I think potentially that's a really, really good fantasy move, Billing. I think he's got real potential. He looked really good.
He looked good. I mean, he's not really got any points yet, but yeah.
But you can see why he's not got any points yet, because of the opposition that he's faced. You get up against an easier side, less difficult side than Liverpool, who defend not as well as Liverpool, and he could get you fantasy points for sure.
All right. Yeah, I think the only other thing to say about that game is, get well soon, Glenn Murray, because that looked particularly bad, didn't it? Particularly bad.
What?
Oh, sorry, no, he plays a...
Where are we now? We're going to Brighton.
The other end of the country. Well,
we're at Brighton now.
That's where we need to go next then. So get well soon, Glenn Murray, because...
Oh, bless him. It was horrendous.
That was a bad one, wasn't it, for him? That was a bad one. Yeah, let's hope... I think it was stretcher and everything, wasn't
it?
But
he did sit up, and he was awake when he left the pitch, but it was awful to watch.
And it's a shame for him, because actually at 6'6", 5 or 6 goals, I think, this season so far, wasn't looking too bad, was he, to be fair? Wasn't looking too bad. Thoughts on Izquierdo in that game? He was a favourite of yours at the back end of last season.
I really like him.
Got the shot away, and I think it sort of deflected off Kayal, didn't it? And therefore it's his goal. But Izquierdo, therefore, a bit unlucky not to get the goal. But it looked pretty good, right?
I mean, I had Izquierdo pre-season, and then obviously with the injury and stuff that happened, I got rid of him. I really rate him. I really rate Izquierdo. I think he is... he reads the game really well. His forward movement is really good. His shots, his crosses are really good. From an FPL point of view, when he's playing well, Brighton play well. There'll be points for him.
He seems to tick them over, doesn't he? I want to see a bit of consistency first. I'm not getting too excited about Brighton beating Newcastle, because Newcastle look pretty awful.
Well, now we know that it is their worst start since 1898-99 season.
Is that right? Is that right?
It's the first time since then that they've not won in their first 9.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk on Twitter about, Newcastle's fixtures are good, so we want to get on them. Not for me. I'm staying well clear until I see something that I want to invest in. Pretty bad. Well, who have we not spoken about? Bournemouth 0, Southampton 0. Let's very quickly talk about that. Nothing for the Bournemouth front three. The front three of Wilson, King and Brooks. We should add Fraser in there as well, because he miraculously recovered from his hamstring injury.
Always does after an international break.
Yeah, weird, right? He seems to be sort of really badly injured and come back pretty quickly. Thoughts on the game? I mean, Southampton, I think, looked reasonably resolute, right? So
yes, they did. And actually, the bonus points went to Cedric, Hoyt and Begovic. So it tells you all you need to know about that game, really, doesn't it? So for me, I'm not worried about Bournemouth. I've got Fraser.
They play Fulham next, so you're not selling.
I'm not taking Fraser out my team for sure. What I am pondering on is Danny Ings. So Danny Ings, I think because of how cheap he is, he's a good enabler for the rest of the team. However, Southampton scoring on average 0.6 goals a game.
Yeah.
So are there better ways to spend my money? And that is where I am.
He's got a nice fixture next, isn't he? Yeah, home to Newcastle. So you're not going to sell him before that, are you?
No, I'm
probably
not
going to play him.
But he's one I'm watching over the next couple of game weeks, because I'm just kind of pondering on, are there better ways to spend my forward money?
Okay, all right. Michelle D is saying, any word on why Knockhart didn't play? Don't know. Did you read anything about Anthony Knockhart?
Do you know I didn't? Let me see if I can...
So we'll look
while
into
you're,
that.
While you're looking at the polls in a minute, I'll look at Knockhart.
Very good. All right. So the only other thing to say about that is that Højbjerg, and we were talking about billing earlier. I mean, Højbjerg also is a pretty good bit of bench fodder in the middle there at 4.5. He might even be 4.6 now. I think he's still 4.5 actually. Had a couple of long range efforts. That one where the keeper did well to save it. So keep your eye on him potentially. Southampton, as we mentioned before, go to Newcastle next, which is a lovely fixture based on the form that Newcastle are in. So, yeah, I think if you've got Southampton assets, start to monitor them. I think you're right to say that, but at the same time, don't worry too much.
Yeah,
don't worry. Yeah,
I think that's right.
Okay. The only other game, Everton 2, Crystal Palace 0 from earlier today. Absolutely dreadful game until about an hour in when Pickford saved the penalty. And then Marco Silva does the business with 2 very, very good substitutions. Calvert-Lewin getting the goal as well as Tosun. I had Richarlison in that game, which is a bit disappointing. We'll worry about Knockhart later. Okay. I had Richarlison in that game, which was a bit disappointing, even though he did start up top in that number 9 slot. Now, my view is that he got a bit bullied out of the game first half. He got a bit bullied out of the game, and I actually wonder whether, despite being up there in that number 9 position, and me in particular, as well as a lot of the FPL community thinking, well, that must be great, he's going to score loads of goals up there. I actually wonder whether he's better actually on the wing. I think Tosun, I think, gives them a little bit more more physicality than Richarlison up there, and can take the bullying in a bit more. Whereas Richarlison, I think, potentially is better coming in off the wing. Any thoughts on that in terms of the Everton dynamic?
No, I agree with what you said. I don't know that Everton have yet worked out still what their best team is and how they best play. And that shows by the substitutions that he made. I mean, they made a massive difference, those players, when they came on, because it changed the formation, changed the way they were set out, and they were much, much better in those last sort of 10-15 minutes of the game. What do I think about Richarlison? I'm not buzzing to get on Richarlison. I'm not. I think
it's only one goal in only a 7-point return when he played. He did play in that number 9 position, I think, last week, wasn't it? He got the goal. Can't remember who they played, but he got 7 points. But outside of that, his returns have been pretty average, if not non-existent, since the headbutt incident and all that sort of stuff. So he started like a house on fire first 2 game weeks, and since then it's been a bit iffy. Now I've got back onto him because I think that Silva sees him as his crown jewel. He's his player. He wants him to do well. But I think in doing that, he's almost said, right, you go and be my main man up front, my number 9. I want you to do well. You're my signing, and I've bought you over from Watford. Well, that's actually not benefiting them. It's not benefiting him. It's not benefiting Everton because it feels like he's more comfortable playing wide. So it'd be interesting to see. I'm probably going to keep him for one more week.
Who they got next?
Let's have a look. So the Everton fixtures look like this. United away, and then Brighton, then Chelsea, then Cardiff. So 2 really nice home games, but 3 really awful away games. So I will possibly keep him for that Brighton game and then see how he gets on in that. But the one thing I will say is if I do want Salah for the Cardiff game next week, he could be the one to make way for Billing, so that I've got the space and the money to do the Salah move.
I'm not that invested in Everton, I've got to admit. I don't
3 back-to-back wins though, so got a good form, right?
It's not Everton themselves, it's the FPL assets. I just don't think that there is a standout FPL asset at Everton.
Okay.
You look at them and now I'm not saying Everton are playing badly, because I don't think they are. I just don't think that there is somebody there that makes me go, yeah, you can have a spot in my team.
Okay, all right. Micah McClatchy is saying Bernard is a good asset but needs to adapt to the Premier League. I'd agree with that. He looked like he ran out of steam a little bit today, so he needs to get up to speed with the Prem. But yes,
good to
I think
see him
he's going to
start
be good.
two weeks on the bounce.
Yeah, for sure.
That's useful.
For sure. Rushiel is saying Dinu is a good cheap option. Yeah, for sure. He looked pretty good again today, didn't he? Keeping Baines out the side, so again getting forward quite a bit. Anything else on Everton? What about Walcott? Solitary TV is saying, well,
if you've still got Walcott, why? That's my point on that.
Yeah, I would think so. Again, he seems to be getting the game time, doesn't he?
Just don't have him.
He's another one that's going to benefit if Tosun was up front rather than Richarlison, I think. But watch this space on Walcott. Not for me, after his trolling earlier on in the season. Okay, that's the games reviewed, guys. Let's take a look at the points.
And
for
obviously,
the week.
just don't get Palace. Their fixtures are dreadful.
Palace fixtures, yeah. I'm actually double Palace defence right now with Hennessy and Wan-Bissaka, which is a big problem like that.
Well, you've got another decent keeper, right?
Well, that's what I was saying before. Foster's got all right fixtures,
so
isn't he, for the next few? So I think I'm okay. But
I mean, it's fine to have Wan-Bissaka, just bench him. But I mean, if you have Zaha, please get rid of him.
Yeah, and Anas Selar is saying Siggy was good today. So fair point. Forgot to mention Siggy.
Forgot to talk about Siggy. He was good today.
He looked the one most likely to get something, actually, didn't he? I think it's particularly first half didn't do too badly. So I'd agree with you on that point. He looked the most dangerous.
He'd probably be the one of Everton if there was going to be one. But then he's the most expensive, so no surprise there, really.
All right. So here's my tale of the tape for the week. 46 points so far, which I think is okay. I think it's not too bad, actually, given how the game week's gone. I've got Maddison to come in for Mane. The highlights clearly were Mendy getting that cheeky assist at the end. I thought he was going to get 3 bonus points, but he somehow managed to drop 2, which I was a bit annoyed about.
Right at the end of the game, just all the bonus points all of a sudden across all the games changed, didn't they? Because Trippier lost one, and
very weird.
It was going all over the place.
Very weird. So Mendy 10, I'm not going to complain about. Very happy that I bought him in. Robertson 8, as usual, just looks just a must-have in my opinion. Robertson, particularly the way that Liverpool defending, only conceded 3 goals all season, so he's a must-have for me. Obviously the Mane thing is disappointing. I think he's dropping in price again tonight, so he's going to be 9.7 tomorrow morning. That means I will have lost 0.2 on him already in the couple of weeks that I've owned him, and had virtually no FPL points from him. So really not looking good in my side, and I do fancy Salah against Cardiff clearly. Got to think about what I do there. Got to think about it. Aguero coming in. The 6-pointer is fine. Could have been a lot more. And you guys that have captained Aguero will probably be feeling a little bit hard done by. I certainly am. He could have had 2, maybe 3 in that game. So a bit disappointed not to get any more than 6 from Aguero. And indeed, Arnautovic could have had a couple in that Spurs game, as you mentioned before, were it not for the flying Frenchman between the sticks for Spurs. So, yeah, all in all, pretty good. Let's see how Maddison gets on next week, tomorrow night, I should say. And we'll see how that affects my rank. I'm inside the top 100k now, which I'm pretty happy with, given where I was a few weeks back. When I missed that Hazard hat-trick and I dropped something like 150k places, it's been a gradual sort of claw back over the last few weeks. So up into 92k, reasonably happy with that. Gameweek rank of just over 1 million, so okay, not bad. So it's a solid week. It's a pretty solid week, I think, with Maddison to come as well. So let's see what happens there. Let's have a look at your team and how you're doing. We want to go into here. And then oops, is that me again?
You're just obsessed with your own team.
Yes, so happy with it this week. So 44, so only 2 less or 2 more? What was I on? 46?
2 less than you, because Richarlison got you.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Okay.
I was beating you by 1, wasn't I?
That's right, yeah. So game week rank of 916, so inside the top million, which is great. Overall rank up to 57? Or down a bit, or up a bit?
That's down a bit from last night. So
Down a bit from last night. Okay, so 57k, still looking pretty good.
But that's down over. It's a green arrow for the week.
Green arrow for the week.
Okay. I started the week at 70k.
Okay, talk us through the team then, very briefly.
Yeah, Edison obviously fine. Trippier happy with you. Robertson clearly. Salah captain, that worked.
Could have had a couple, couldn't he, Salah?
Yeah.
Bit like Aguero actually. Could have had another one in that second half.
Yeah, the rest of them not ideal, but is what it is. Maddison tomorrow night. Let's see what happens. But fairly happy with them, and I think they actually look fairly okay going forward. So it's just what I do about Kane. I think that's my big kind of pondering point for the week.
All right. Any immediate, got to get them out, got to get them in.
No
surgery required.
No, I'm not panicking. The Kane thing is what it is. I'll decide on that as and when. Mendy, yes, but not until after the Spurs game. Yeah.
Okay, let's
fairly
wait and
happy.
See. Yeah, let's wait and see. So I think given that we've got a round of Champions League fixtures to go, I think it makes sense to stick it out and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm
not
doing
sort of
anything.
Friday.
Yeah, I won't be making any transfers till Thursday.
Okay, all right, guys. We've got a couple more things to do. One is we're going to check out the live stream Regulars League. Let's see who might be in contention for the wooden spoon. Now, clearly, we've got the Arsenal and Leicester game to go, so we're going to see how that goes, and then we'll announce on Twitter who's got the wooden spoon for this week, and then we're going to do the polls. So we've got Ryan Foley, who is flying really, really high in the league with 622 overall, but only 25 points for this game week. It's a tough old game week, really, really tough. Let's see if anybody can beat Ryan.
Might have some people playing tomorrow, so he might be saved.
Absolutely. Rahul is in at 25 as well. So again, tough game week. 28, and tell me guys if I missed one, because I did that the other week, didn't I? Everyone said there's a 38. Luke of graphics fame, 14 points. Luke, what is going on?
Luke,
oh my days, we've got to have a look at this. Wow. So Sterling captain, who was vice captain? Hazard with 1. Oh no.
So 15.
So 15.
And who's coming off his bench?
To play? Maddison to play. Bennett coming off his bench for Mane with a big fat 0. Trent didn't play, so Wan-Bissaka on with 1. Luke, that's a stinker.
Is he done?
Well, he's got Maddison to play, so unless we get something miraculous from Maddison, Luke, that's a nightmare, mate. Let's see if there's anybody else worse than 14. I'll be surprised if there is.
He does live in the UK though, so no customs for him.
MU Fan TV, what is the crack? What is going on here? 13 points. Oh my god, there's a 12. Guys,
what's happening?
This is a seriously tough game week. I knew it was tough, but goodness me. By the way, there's a 52 down here. Look at that. Superb.
Right, where's the 12?
12.
Oh, it's gone up to 16 there.
Achuthan. He's in the live chat. We've sent Achuthan a
I've
wooden spoon already.
You a spoon.
There's already a spoon onto Achuthan. And last time I spoke to Achuthan actually on Twitter, he was saying, just call me Achu.
Oh, Achu.
Like when you sneeze, Achu.
Okay.
So we just got to call him
Michelle
Achu.
was just saying they haven't updated yet, I think.
They haven't updated yet?
Yeah.
Well,
because he's up 16 there.
Oh, he's actually on 16?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so 16.
So
with
actually
Bellerin
so
and
he
Lacazette
should be safe, because Luke...
see. Where was that other one? There was a 13 MU fan TV. Let's check that out.
So he's up
also
to 16.
With who to play. So we've got...
Captain, though.
Oh, okay. Lacazette captain and Maddison to play. So
Luke.
Should be
Luke. It's
Luke
not looking good for you. Because Luke, Man U Fan
trouble.
TV's also got Maddison. So Luke, you could be...
He's in trouble. He's in trouble, yeah. 14 points. Goodness me. Yeah, with only Maddison to play. So Luke, we'll announce it on Twitter and Instagram.
Can't send our graphics man a wooden spoon.
I feel so bad doing that. Because Luke is, for you guys that maybe tune in to us regularly will know this, but Luke helps us out every single week. He provides the amazing graphics that you guys see as the thumbnails on Twitter and on here for the live streams, because basically we'd be absolutely rubbish at it, wouldn't we?
Well, we are. Yeah.
So Luke he supports the channel week in, week out, and we absolutely love him for it. So to get 14 and send him a wooden spoon feels really... It's really wrong, doesn't it? I want to send him something that would say, thanks for supporting the stream.
If it's him, I have to send him a box of chocolates with the spoon.
That's what we'll do. Luke, if it's you, there'll be something in the post as well as the wooden spoon.
I'll send him my favourite chocolate with the spoon.
Yes, we're going to send something, Luke, because Luke supports the stream. I
can't
cannot just send him a wooden spoon. Absolutely awful. So Luke is in today. He's saying, cheers, guys. This is a proud moment in my life. Luke, it's not. It's really not. It's really not. But listen, so we're gonna we'll talk about it on Twitter. We'll talk about it on Instagram after the Arsenal versus Leicester game tomorrow. Let's see who ends up with the wooden spoon. I've got a feeling I know who that's going to be.
It's going to be Luke or Cheer, isn't it? Really?
Right. Let's have a quick look at these polls then before we sign off.
You've remembered the polls on your own.
Of course I have. Let's have a look at these polls. I still haven't figured out how to do it actually on my computer, so I just need to go into here and have a look. Right. Time for Martial, Sam. Yes or no?
No.
Okay. 76% agree.
Oh, good.
So 3 out of 4 of you are saying no. 1 in every 4 are clearly Manchester United fans. It's time for Martial. I think it's a bit early. But 3 back-to-back starts, it's potentially a game change differential if you get on him early. Salah, a must-have for Cardiff versus Fulham. A must-have.
Yes.
You think yes?
Well, that's why I've got him.
And again, it's split about the same actually. 72%. Saying yes, you've got to have Salah. So no point having Mane or Firmino. Got to have Salah. All right, fair enough. Marcus Alonso or Marcus Alonso, keeping or selling?
I'm keeping for now.
Keeping for now, right. 70% saying keep and 29%. So 71 and 29%. So 71% saying keep, 29% saying sell. And Josh Murphy at Cardiff, 4.8 million. We've talked about a lot of enablers, haven't we, on this stream? In terms of billing and...
But that's because you've got to have all these big ones for these big games.
Yeah,
Salah
but I think we were kind of struggling for someone in that sort of bracket. But now we've got Murphy and billing and Decore and people like that. There's a few actually knocking about now. So Josh Murphy at Cardiff, 4.8, yes. And would go in your first 11, yes. But would be a bench option or just no.
Oh, there isn't a wait and see button.
Yes, but a bench option.
All right, yes, but on the bench.
Yes, but on the bench. So 56% of you guys are saying no, possibly because the likes of Billing and a few others out there look pretty good. Or indeed, you actually don't need to have an enabler. Perhaps you can fit a nice midfield in without having to have an enabler. I don't know. Yes, but a bench option is 40%, and then straight into the first 11 is only 3%. So I think that's pretty much what I expected.
Because I still got Kearney I could do something about.
You still got Kearney?
Yeah, because he came back.
I thought he was coming back.
We did. He came back and got injured again.
Oh, did he? Oh, what, badly?
No, I think he's back again next week. But
okay, bit hokey cokey though. You want to get someone who's a bit assured of starts, so at least get some minutes like Billing or like.
Murphy, exactly. Right? Just in case you have a game week where somebody just there's a rotation on that.
Absolutely, guys. I think so. That is it, guys. I think that is the end of episode 19.
I don't know about knockout. I'll find out. We
will find out about knockout. Who knows about what's happened with knockout? Yeah, I mean, Jeff, we search Twitter. Let's have a look because.
Well, I just did a little search and nothing really came up, but I'll see what I can find out. It looks like it's just a rest.
Let's see.
Doesn't look like there's anything wrong.
Even the general's a bit concerned. So talk to me about Anthony Norhart. Do you expect to see him back in the start 11 at home versus Wolves next weekend? Let's see what people are saying. Look at this, Michelle. Live Q&A.
You'd only do it because it's Michelle, right?
Exactly. I would only do it for Michelle. Don't tut.
I'm starting to think Michelle's your other woman.
Now thinking of transferring him straight back out again. So it's inconclusive. I think it's fair to say it's inconclusive.
I don't think I'd transfer him straight back out again. If he's been fit, he's been playing. So I think it's just a...
As responsive from a Brighton fan, expect Knockout to come in, back in for Yahang Bashk, or however you pronounce his name, for Wolves. Is Kiedo to start on the left? Might not be a mainstay. So, okay, all right. So it's looking a bit inconclusive. Doesn't appear to be any major injury.
No.
There's nothing in there that says, he's massively injured, get him out. So let's see. All right, let's go back to... How do I go back to home? Here we go. How do I go back to home? Get back on the Twitter page. Here we go. Back on the Twitter page. Right, guys, that is it for another episode of the FPL Family. Thank you very much for joining us. That is our Twitter page, for those of you that are not following us, at FPL Family on Twitter, at FPL Family on Instagram as well. If you liked the video tonight, and we hope that you did, thank you all for joining. We had something like 280 people in, so that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you for joining. If you like the video, hit that like button. If you're new around here, make sure you go and check out that subscribe button and hit the little notify bell that comes up when you do subscribe, so that you get a little push notification on your laptop or indeed on your phone when we go live, so that you know when we're live and you can join in with us. That is it. Cheers, everybody. Good luck with Maddison and Vardy and Lacazette captain if you're MU Fan TV. Good luck with all your Arsenal and Leicester assets in tomorrow night's game. We'll do a full wooden spoon and final team updates on Twitter and Instagram, probably Monday night or Tuesday morning. And then we'll be back on Thursday, I guess, in our regular slot, right? After the Champions League.
We will be back on Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, big games in the Champions League. Well, we do need to beat Red Star Belgrade. And who you got to play? PSV. Back-to-back games against PSV now,
Correct.
which you absolutely need to win.
Must win.
Yeah, because it's 2 for 2, 2 losses, isn't it? So definitely got to win those two. Absolutely all right. So big games in the Champions League. Going to be a lot of rest and rotation potentially over the next week for game week 10. Got to look out for that, right?
We're with a stupid early game as well. So while the kids are still
you're not the
awake.
5:15.
I'm so annoyed. The kids will still be up, and then I'll have to deal with. Mummy, can I have this? Mummy.
Right, what's worse? A 5:15 kickoff, the Nations League, or Tim Ream? What's the worst?
5:15 kickoff.
Oh no, Tim Ream's absolutely the worst. Absolutely the worst. Guys, good night. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe. We will see you on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you very much for joining us, and well done this week.
See you
soon.
Thursday.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.